the go live button. What a noob. What a noob. What a noob. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord have mercy. Oh goodness. All right. Well, so I'm sorry. I thought we've been live this whole time. Oh. And this is why it was so helpful for Kian you to come in when you did, because this whole technology thing, you know, is yeah. I'm not the it's funny too, because of course in my real job I'm in the tech field and I'm a project manager over many multiple applications, but um, like I tell people I work with, you guys are the smart people that do all the work. I'm just the face, and I'm the project manager that has to talk to everybody. So that this I'm not planning to be any of that stuff. But sorry for everyone that is on. We've actually been talking for 15 minutes, and I forgot to hit the go live button. So oops. Yeah. Okay, so we've been reading chat and responding, but the first question that was asked that I thought was a good question, because I've asked it many times in various live streams, is who have you had the biggest crush on in criminal case? And obviously I posed the question to the group. I told them who it was. In terms of chat, I'll give you guys 30 seconds while the others tell you who theirs are. But see if you remember, or if you can guess who my crush is over all the seasons of Criminal Case, and then we can go over to you know, the group. Addie, Jonathan, Kian, if you guys want to say who your crushes are, and then you know a reason. Has it not gone live yet? Oh, it has. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Our first in my eyes strong female character that Criminal Case got, just because she was kind of a vamp, from being a weapons expert. So who was that? Yeah. So Bonnie. I know you do. Yeah. Yeah. I, I figured, I figured, I figured Luke Fernandez from season 7. There were lots of discussions you had in the chat about him, um, and you weren't alone, and you weren't alone. Yeah. Oh yes. The oh, who's the real life guy that they modeled him after? Um, Yeah. Forget that guy's name, but yeah, and Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. So yeah, very much so. Maddie, what about you? Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, mine has. Yeah, he. Yes, I will definitely say he makes an appearance in season 8 near the end. It's a nice ode to it's a very nice ode to the criminal case people that have been around for the last 7 or 8 years. Yeah. Again, for me, it's a Saul. I enjoyed her character. I thought she was a spitfire. I thought she was insane. She obviously had the relationship with Jones, so that was she was just always there. And Michelle Zuria, obviously, I liked as well, just from her character. But if I had to choose one that like I thought that was the most attractive, obviously it's the dangerous one. It's the one that's part of like the Assad or whatever she was a part of, and she's just absolutely crazy, um, and screwing Jones over in so many ways, and it's just that was so much fun. Although that wasn't my number 1 season, that was definitely a very fun season for character development. I feel like there were a lot of characters in World Edition that they really did a good job of developing. And obviously that was a 60 caser, so that was one of the first few seasons where they had the 60 cases. Once they dropped down after the tech one. What's the tech one called? Conspiracy. That's right. After Conspiracy, yeah. So well, yeah, but I mean, 17 is 17 is because of the obviously what they yeah. So so yep. Oh, was it Jack? Was it Jack? Ah, that's right. That's right. Well, that could very well be the case. That could be very well be the case. It was like 9 o'clock last night. I was like, I'm gonna get some sleep. Wake up at 2:30. It's like 5.5 hours. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was and that was that. You're right. That also might have been another thing that I enjoyed was the fact that Jack had again personality wise maybe not the same, but I still remember how cool it was when uh, when I got messaged by one of the lead designers on Criminal Case at the end of season 1 and asked, "Hey, can we use your name in season 2?" And I was like, "Why not?" I was like, that sounds awesome. And obviously, that was the Trevor Finn character in the very first episode, and so their very first case, and that was really cool. And then they didn't tell me Jack Archer. Yes. and that was some of the fun stuff. So like Jack, again, I never got confirmation that that was me, although at the time the information, his background was uncanny in terms of where I was. I mean, Los Angeles, my age was the same. It was like the hairstyle at the time was the same, all that stuff. And then Kian on your side, it was like they literally called him like Kieran, like basically your name. And like a slight deviation, and he looked like you, same look, which again to me it was really cool because I mean I had been in touch with some of the developers at throughout kind of this whole season, just talking with them and stuff, and they were definitely viewers of ours. Like they would watch Criminal Case, they would watch my live streams and stuff like that. So Kian, when you took over for Mysteries of the Past, I guarantee you they were like, "Oh, hey, look, this is a good face. Let's make a character after this guy." And then, yeah, he did, he did, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. It's it is it's been oh it's yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, I grew a beard, he grew a beard, or at least some facial hair. So yeah, you'll get there, in like 20 years, Kian, when you get a little bit older. So um, yeah, yeah. Hey, enjoy the baby face for now. So yeah, yeah. So that too. That's right. Yeah. Well, that's difficult when you're a redhead, right? It's difficult when you're a redhead. Everyone assumes all redheads are the same. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of the same. You know, I mean, obviously you are different. Yep, 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 yep. Well, because Kian spun off and is doing his own thing, which is awesome. Um, I I see it continually climbing and climbing, which is awesome. And that's I'm glad you broke away and was able to kind of spin up and do your own thing. And obviously, look at his camera, look at his backdrop. I mean, he looks legitimate as opposed to me looking like I'm in the side of my house that. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, and you learned a lot like doing that and having that kind of platform, which was great. And that's the other thing. So this has been going on for 7 or 8 years. Now, I mean, I think Jonathan was there at the inception. Maddie, I think you were there at the inception. Um, Sasco, I'm pretty sure you were there at the inception. But either way, even like Kian, I think you came in like maybe second season or something, or were you there from the beginning? As an observer, I mean, basically, because that's the crazy thing. Like, if you think about it, 7 years. Like, and I've mentioned this before on some of my live streams, but like when I started Criminal Case, I had just started dating my wife. I had no kids. I had no dog. I was in a different state. Like, in 7 years, I've basically transformed my whole life, and it's crazy to track that within Criminal Case and see all the differences. I mean, when I first, like the first time I was on camera, I think I was even in the old apartment with like the Yeah, but I think, and maybe I was at my parents' house. I was at my parents' house like at the beginning. Then I moved over to my wife's house after we got married, and so I had like this like her dining room like china behind me, and then obviously like I moved out here, and this whole thing's changed. You know, I used to have a desk over here that was kind of crappy. Now I have a standing desk, and it's like now I have four monitors, and like my whole like area has changed. And like for Kian, like when you first came on, yours was like just a room, and then obviously it's transformed over time into being like a really like professional looking place. But like that's Kian and myself. But like from like Addie, Maddie, I remember you guys from way back when. Seeing you guys now, it's so much fun to see all these different people over time, because this is at the end of the day, this is just a game, right? This is just a game. It's a point and click game. It requires very little skill. Um, Obviously, if you click faster, you get through it faster. But at the end of the day, you can't really fail. Um, and for that to bring together so many people, and have people at least engaged for at some capacity for this long, is pretty cool. And people like Floor and Dis, like they're now they're teacher, like I think Flora's now a teacher or something like that. It's like you see these people like Addie's going to school and getting some stuff done. Like all these people that like when they first joined were like 13 or 14 at times and didn't even like think of high school and college. Now everybody's like graduating, so you start seeing that. And obviously there's people in chat that again are like that 12, 13 range, and it's like, hey man, in a few years, you're going to be where a lot of these other people are at that have been with us for a long time. And it's crazy to get the perspective. I'm 32 right now, and I started this when I was 24. And, I feel super old. When I started this, I wasn't super old with my audience. So. Oh, Plants vs Zombies streams, yes, and I enjoy. Man, I wish that came back. Again, I like strategy games. I love strategy games, and unfortunately, most of the gaming world has come to pay to win transactions, so they've leaned a get away from actual strategy. That being said, like, so here's a question I'll ask of myself, is if I started YouTube now and I was 24 now, what would I be doing and stuff? And I would probably be playing a first person shooter, and I would be holed up for 12, 14 hours a day, and I would be playing the mouse game where I've seen people like do the mouse like sensitivity stuff, and I would literally be diving wholeheartedly into like one game and playing it, and then when things shifted from Fortnite, I would be screwed. I'd probably be very sad. But because for me, I what I like to do is I like to dive into things 100% and not diversify myself. And thankfully, Kian, you have diversified yourself from the onset, which is nice. So even though you do Fortnite, you're also doing other stuff as well, which is helpful. Me, I could not survive as a young person in this type of a climate, because I would have tried to get really good at something, and then the landscape would have changed, and I probably would have had a really hard time transitioning from one, thing to the other. But
Yeah,
so.
no, I mean, it's definitely a difficult, YouTube is a difficult beast to tame a lot of the time. And it's, because everybody wants something, and people
Yep.
don't like fighting over what they want. So, with YouTube, because there's a billion different options too, I mean, you've got to be able to entertain the masses in a sense. So, there was definitely that, you know, level of risk too. Like, variety content is still very, very, very difficult to pull off. Like, you
Yep.
have to be
when you build a community, that's the other thing too, and that's where like again, you know, when we were going back into this, you know, reconnecting with Jonathan, Maddie, like Sasco, I haven't seen or talked to you guys since like it seems like years, but like the joy that is on my face to be able to see you again, Maddie. It's really nice to see you again, hear your voice, Jonathan. I know your camera isn't working, but just to hear your voice, it just brings me back to really good times. And so I've always been really appreciative of the community that we have here. And again, we get anywhere from 20 viewers to 100 for every single stream. And I don't make money from this. Like this is not my source of income at all. So I basically wake up every 2 weeks for you guys, for the people that have been there for so long, and it's been such a fun joy and trip. I get asked by my wife all the time, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep torturing yourself and waking up? Because she sees me in my office for 10 hours a day working and just getting dragged. And she's like, on Thursdays, you are up from 2:30 in the morning, you work for like 10 hours, and you take no breaks, and then you're with the kids for like 4 hours at the end of the day, and then you literally pass out on the couch afterwards. And I'm like, yes, but you don't have the community. Like I've always felt like with the community and everybody's kind of good natured feedback and the way that we've been able to just communicate. It's like it's a chance for me to hang out with friends, and that's kind of what this to me is all about. Why I'm glad you guys were able to come for this. The like in between the final case is I just want to hang out with friends for a couple hours or whatnot. However many people can get on. Obviously, I think like this is trying to get on, like Floor might get on a little bit later and stuff like that. But if people can get on, that have been on, get on. If they can't. It is what it is. But I just appreciate seeing it as well, everybody in like chat and whatnot.
And in the chat, like, the limit is 10, but we would need to make a route to actually get more people on.
Gotcha. To technical people, let me know what I need to do. Oh, least favorite. Is it? I feel like the main answer is probably Nathan. But yeah, I mean Russell was I didn't like Russell, but at least I didn't like him for a reason. You know what I mean? Like Nathan to me added zero value, and he was part of season one in which they did not develop the side characters at all. So like Russell, I didn't like him, but the fact that I didn't they but even Alex wasn't like the best, and Delaney wasn't really the best. Again, I didn't like Russell, but because I didn't like him, I'm like, you guys did good character development. What about you, Maddie? Who? Oh. Well, And again, the fact that you guys are so passionate about Lawson, to me, means he was a great character, right? And like to me, when when I think worst characters, I'm like, they could literally not have him in there, and I would be fine. And to me, that is Nathan. Honestly, it's everyone in season one except for Jones and Ramirez, because I don't remember the judge. I didn't remember Alex till you told me about him. Obviously, he got better with Kathy, you know, in the in Pacific Bay and stuff like that. But like in season one, obviously, to me they did no character development. I remember when they released the season two characters, and I read the bios. I was like, oh my gosh, people with personality. Roxy, great. A corner that's absolutely crazy. I love this.
And with season 3, it's Robert Hicks, who is, you know, that whole mess.
Who?
Robert Hicks, the parody of the current, well, current. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't like that character whatsoever. But the guy that he put based on the curtain, and it was so well done that I couldn't help but hate it. And that's good character writing, in my opinion.
Ooh, I like that question, Layla.
I have the worst character that I can think of, just because he was such a good character to start, but then he just like tanked right at the very end. That would be Matt. Is it Lawson? No, Matheson from Supernatural Investigations.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of weird. I didn't peg him for what they transitioned that to. That was kind of interesting.
He was such a good character. He started off and so he helping us out through all this, and the very last one, like, oh, I was scheming all the time. So,
Yeah. Well, and there weren't really like clues. That so, and that's actually a good point. When I yeah. Well, and that's actually interesting too, because it's like, you know, that is just almost a little lazy writing in terms of that. I mean, like I was like, okay, fine. It wasn't as believable. But when like the other people turned into demons in that season, I was like, okay, that makes sense. They're a little crazy. Like I kind of got that. Um, there was a good question from Layla again. Oh, if you could voice act any of the characters in Criminal Case was coming back, which one would you voice? Obviously, I would love to voice Jack Archer. I feel like yeah. I mean, I feel like most people would want to do something like that. But like, if there's one person that you could voice, who would it be? Ooh. Oh, hey, Maddie, send me that. Send me that link in Discord. I'd like to watch that because outside of Criminal Case, people, if they've seen my Tales of Symphonia, I tried to do voice acting there, and that was not as that was kind of embarrassing when I go back and look at it. But hey, it's on the internet. It's there forever. You know, I just have to live with my. It doesn't matter. I guarantee you someone who will have downloaded it and it's there. But I do like to look back at me, you know, circa 21, 22, trying to do voice actors and probably butchering specific people. I tried to play, again, tried stereotypes out and tried their voices. Very inappropriate probably in this day and age. But again, I tried. Yeah, Addie, who would you like to be? Because you do a great French accent. So you have a
I've learned the language for like 6 or 7 years now. So
yeah.
I was helping Esau in a certain case of City of Romance. And I got to voice that Hugo and KianisKool speaking French.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And alongside that, there was also Armand.
Oh yes, I could see you being Armand in terms of the voice, because like your that French accent that you have, and when you speak French, I was like, whoa. Kian, have you heard him?
I have not done that.
We'll Daddy send him a clip.
Romance, but yeah.
Yeah, send him a clip of you doing it, because obviously like you have your you know, your regular voice, but when you switch into like French, it is a trip, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you sound like you grew up in France.
It's like I remember in season 3 when Child guest, and there was this, we were on the island
Oh yes.
of Sombra, and her voice had the French diaper. And
Hmm.
like she isn't French, but her voice changed when she was voicing him, so it was kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who would you like to voice, Bonnie?
I honestly don't know. Probably my character from season 7
Oh.
is the answer. And that's because I'm not really that good at voice acting.
It you don't have to be good, because a lot of times it's your own voice. It just so happens that Addie, you blew me away with your French accent. And again, I remember like Chiara obviously did her thing, but she's Italian, so like I was like, hey, I could see that. And then so there's a couple of people that we're going to be missing here, because I didn't get feedback from them. Um, Obviously, Chiara's not here. I reached out to her, didn't get anything back. Also, forget what her name was from. She's from Australia. She's from Australia. What was? Yeah. Oh, Nat. That's right, Nat. Yeah, because she was on and from like a while ago. So there's a couple people that obviously were on in the earlier seasons that haven't been able to really talk to in a really long time. Which is why when Jonathan you responded, I was like, oh yes, someone from and uh, sorry. Sorry.
Is like loyalty to a channel. I mean, whenever you stop streaming for that long of time, I think it was in season 4. Yeah. All that since then, I've been following a different channel just for the turtle piece thing.
Yep.
But I've stayed subscribed to you, checking on your stream for like the main events to see how you react and dropping in things like, hey, what's up?
Yep.
Ever since then. So even though I get incredible updates from a different source at some points, I still follow you.
Yeah.
Just because of the loyalty.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is when I first started, there was no competition. I was the only person doing it. And then obviously more and more people popped up. The more and more they kind of got popular, and the more and more people started, you know, using it more. And like Kian did it, and other people did it that I won't name. And
I did it at one point, but then I stopped.
yeah, and again,
I stopped because it would, because YouTube wouldn't do right bit for me, and I'm just trying to play out here, but it was actually messing with my head a bit, so I just decided no more.
yeah.
I needed to stop, otherwise I would have gone off the rail or something like that. You know, like I didn't want to go that far, so I just decided I just can't do it. So I stopped like that. Because YouTube can mess with your head.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
With like analytics, the likes, the dislikes, and all of that, it can mess with you in a way that you don't expect.
Very much so. Very much so.
When you're watching someone, you don't know how much work actually goes into content. Like the analytics, the editing, the video making, and all of that. You
Yep, and it's a lot of upfront work and effort. Like Kian, obviously, you went through that a lot. You're at this point, I think Kian's probably very he's optimized a lot of that of your efficiencies. It still takes time and effort, right? Like it still takes time and effort. You still need help from your community to sometimes clip things and to get things kind of put together. But um, it's luckily with Kian and Bonnie and the mod squad that we have, um, I spend literally only 2.5 hours every 2 weeks. Kian helped out a huge bit when I first kind of did that. Bonnie, you took over from that, creating thumbnails, editing the videos on YouTube. That was great. Mods and streams were able to ban people so I could focus on the other stuff. And so, I mean, you guys all made it so that I could continue this and only spend 2.5 hours. Because if it wasn't that, man, before live streaming, I used to have to put in like 8 to 10 hours just for like at least for the 2 hours or hour and a half of content, and that was just insane for me. Like 10 hours for free for not getting paid for that while I'm working 40, 50 hour jobs elsewhere. I was like, oh, that's just rough. So.
I just want to say that I love the fact that mine and Kian's editing thumbnails and everything else is so different. Because
Yeah.
mine, when we knew that Kian thumbnails, he used a character from the game, but after they stopped doing that, they stopped allowing.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
More realistic thumbnails. But also, our editing is so different because we both have different ideas of we both have different creativity ideas for how we want it to look.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. 100%. Yeah. 100% on that. There was like a period of time where they stopped allowing, like they pretty much the database where you could actually get some of like the higher quality images of the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
They pretty much closed off. And I think that was actually an attempt to stop with, not, I wouldn't say a full attempt, but at least an attempt to stop with like some of the leaks that were getting out at the time.
Yeah.
That was one of their steps. It didn't work, but it was, I appreciate the attempt at the very least. But alongside that, I fully agree. I definitely, even to this day, I'm definitely more of that bit of the meme side of that with the whole content. But I mean, going back on your content as well, a lot of us are lucky to be in the positions we are now too, because there are creators who have to get up to the point where they have viewers at all, and then they have to put that 10 to 12 hours, of work of editing
Well, it's small and it's also not kid friendly. Um, that's something that I realized obviously when and that's when the first YouTube Armageddon hit with the ad thing. When that hit, that was rough. Us Adpocalypse. That first one was super rough for criminal case from a monetary standpoint because they basically classified it as well they should have as not kid friendly because obviously you look at any of the thumbnails and yes I was attention grabbing but like I remember that the one video that used to get me a lot of views continually was the Bayou Blue where they sewed the girl's mouth shut and so it was like a picture of like a girl that looked like a voodoo doll on the mouth and like got tons of views. And at that point, I was like, oh, this is great clickbait, right? Like this is a good clickbait type thing. And then like once Adpocalypse happened, like the amount of like consistent viewership on a lot of those older videos that had like eye-catching, thumbnails dropped like immediately. And so that also probably hurt criminal case in the long run, is because they ended up at least from a YouTube and an exposure standpoint, getting bucketed into basically, okay, it's rated 12 plus for teens, but realistically, like from YouTube's perspective, for an ad perspective, they basically wouldn't let certain people in. So that was hey Floor, how you doing? Nice. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to hop in. Always appreciate it. I know you're someone as well that we had a lot of time. Now you have a whole nother life that is it's fun to see. It's fun to see. And obviously you're older than like Sasco. I know that. So you'll get there, Sasco. Because I think Sasco, when you first came on, you were like 9 years old or something when you reached out to me. I was like, "Ah, I can't talk to you. Like you're too young. You're too young." And then like we waited like 4 more years, and you're like, I'm 16, and I'm like, all right, I'll put you on or something like that. Because I was like, 16's kind of there. I'll go with it. But I'm like, I can't just be putting these kids on. So I remember Floor when you talked, I was like, oh good, you're over 21, perfect, great, that's good. I don't get in trouble by having all these kids on. I'm like, it was cool when I was 24, 25, but as a 31-year-old, 32-year-old guy now, for me to start bringing on like 12 and 13-year-old kids for like this game, I'm like, it's just the optics aren't great. I'm like, it's just again, yeah, it's like you can't do that. So, but Sasco, I know you remember that. I think you reached out to me many, many times, and Kian, you were probably, I think, even involved in those conversations. Like, Kian, he's very young. I'm like, should we put a rule out there? Because I'm like, I can't just be adding like 12-year-olds to my videos and stuff. Because I'm like, it looks wrong. It's just these random people on the internet that are friends, and now I'm friends with all these like 13-year-olds. And then obviously other things came out around YouTube. Other things came out around YouTube at that time too. Yeah, you were 15. I know, and I was like, oh, because I didn't think anything of it. And everyone here basically asked for multiple times, and I had to like do it. I think Floor, when she asked, I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, I know you. We were friends on Facebook and stuff, and I was like, okay, perfect. I see it. But everyone else here was super young when they pinged me, and I was like, oh. And again, at YouTube at the time, I won't name names or put the scandals out there, but there were scandals of people that their fans were younger and stuff like that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I can't get mixed up in that. I'm like, we're literally just playing a game. Yeah, I didn't want to be reported. And, again, different landscape and stuff. But you know, same thing like when Chiara and Nat joined, they were both I think like 21 or something like that. So like, and Jonathan, I knew your age and stuff when you joined. I was like, oh, we're good, we're good, we're good. You were 20. Yep, yep, yep. Some of you guys were at much appropriate ages, but I remember like Sasco, Kian, you guys were like very young when you guys joined, and I was like, oh, you guys are so cool, and you guys were so helping me out. Sasco, you helped me out a lot too, from like the mod perspective, and Kian, you helped me out a lot too. I was like, I really want to reward these guys, but I'm like, gosh darn it, I'm like, there's got to be some laws that I'm breaking here by like just putting people on this. So anyways, that's always fun to deal with.
Lavender looks like she has something on the top of her tongue when she wants to.
Yep, yep, yep. I know, and I think I even asked you. I asked you your age. I was like, how old are you? 18. Whew. Like that's just like a thing off of my thing, cause. But yeah, and yeah. It, well, and if you haven't been in City of Romance, that's not PG. That season at all. There's a lot of things in there that like even like as I'm doing it, I'm like I don't want to say that word. I really don't want to. And like I'm saying things and like if people have been watching, I mean a lot of you guys probably have been watching the stream. Obviously, Bonnie, I know you have, but like I'll just skip over some phrases and some words. I'm like I had things that are more risque than like 50 Shades, but they haven't built like a whole like season around it. Um, and so it's just different when you have like one character, but like we're going to brothels in many cases, and we're going to other things like that. So it's yeah, but it's classy in the 1800s. It's not so classy in the in the 2020s. People wear a lot less clothing now than they did way back then. So
That was the hype season.
oh, a conspiracy without a doubt. Conspiracy, Rosetta, supernatural, like or like superpowers, superhero powers, the twists and turns. What did we kill off? 3 people on our team at that time. How many people did we? We were losing people like flies. Um, honestly, Jones's girl. Yeah, yeah. So honestly, for me, I've always ranked it like conspiracy, and then um, it's so hard. Either World Edition or Supernatural Investigations. I like both of those, just in terms of story arcs. I like 60 Cases. As crazy as it is, and as much as I wouldn't like it, when I look back on it, the 60 Cases were so much better for character development, and I care so much more about characters when they do 60 Cases. So like Conspiracy is the World Edition cared about characters. Even Pacific Bay, which is probably not ranked up in my top 3 or 5. Um, Frank's story arc throughout the whole thing, man, still gives me chills. Like at the end. And even like Mysteries of the Past with Armand and everybody, it's like when you have 60 cases, you allow people to transition, and they're able to give the side characters so many arcs. And so Armand at the very end of Mysteries of the Past, you felt that, right? When you felt Frank, and Conspiracy was just a completely flipped me on my head because they killed like half of our team off. And like World Edition, you kind of had the same thing with the backstabbing with Angela and stuff. It was just like I'm like sitting here just like dodging bullets and like, and I remember we would, and everybody here, I know we would be in chat all the time and go, who's dying next? Like we all knew some, at least multiple people were dying. So like we start a season and go, who's not going to be with us at the end? Um, and like it was, yep. So others, what are your favorite seasons? Because I know everyone here has different favorite seasons. I know. So Addie, what was your favorite season? Because I know everyone here has a different season because we've talked about it in various like avenues. I said Addie, Addie and Maddie are basically the same at this point. I'm like, dang it. Maddie, go ahead. Yeah. There was no dead time in those. So Supernatural, the time travel, both of those were very quick. you, again, time travel. I think they should have done more. Like time travel, I wish was 60 cases. I wish they had done a little bit more because I felt like they rushed some of that stuff, especially Nefertiti. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, right? At the time, I was like, "Oh, this is so long," but now I look back on it so fondly, and I'm like, "Ah, I wish we could go back there." Again, you always want what you don't have, and so when you're in 30 cases, you're like, "Oh, I want 60 cases." Then when you're in 60 cases, you're like, "Gosh darn it, I want 30 cases." Just get through the season. I just hate what they did with Nefertiti and her bodyguard. Yeah, they just need to do something with Nefertiti and her bodyguard. So yeah, yeah. Yeah. So Addie, what was your favorite season? Well, yeah. As someone that spent zero time traveling. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes. One, I've not traveled outside of the United States. So for me, World Edition was awesome because I was like, I've seen all these cultures and stuff like that, but it was fun to play through them. And like even as we look at everybody here, I think you have Maddie in Michigan, you have Kian, yeah, basically. Kian, you're in Ohio or Indy. Oh, you're in the East Coast. Okay, so you're East Coast. I'm obviously in Arizona, and then you have Bonnie in England, Floor, Addie, like we have everyone on this call. And Jonathan, I think you're in Michigan in that area, right? Gosh darn it, I'm completely off. But that proves my point even more. Maddie's from Michigan. That's it. So, but we have so many people from so many different parts of even just the U.S. None of us are anywhere close to each other. Like no. Yes. Yeah. 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 And like yep. And then we had like Nat was from Australia. Chiara was from Italy. Australians. We had Shield. I wish we could get Shield on here. I'd love to see what Shield actually looks like. Um, but you also have Dis. Dis is again. I think she's from. She's not from the Netherlands. She's from. Where is she? Floor? Yeah, Poland. But it's just it's crazy to see how a game connected. Yeah. And Sasco, I know you're Philippines, right? Oh, you're on mute. Hey, let me unmute you, Saskia, because I think I heard some background noise. See you, Floor. Thanks. Cool. Here. But Saskia, where are you from again? Yeah, yeah. This up. There's Dis. Hey, Dis. Yes, so I realized, so I kicked Shield out because he's not joining. So I didn't realize we had the 10-person limit, so I kicked him out. Sorry, Dis, for waiting to put you on there, but which travel in time, yeah. That's only because you said it, Jonathan. But it's Oh.
great re-entrance to a lot of like revisit to a lot of the characters, like Jack and Rita. They did a really good job, and they did a really solid job of revisiting the characters. I felt like there was a mark that was missed in season 5 with the revisit. I think they did a really good job with Jones, but I feel like there was something missed in translation with characters like Ramirez, and then Alex was okay. Kathy just, I don't know, something was muddled there. I guess alongside the fact that they got over. So, they are ultimate people. It's been like 5 years since we last saw them, so they are to be different people, but even then, that was that part. And then I did like Ad Astra. I liked season 1 was with Rupert actually being dead in case 32, I think it was. Where everybody was like, no, it's his look-alike. No, he's just dead. I liked that plot twist. But other than that, I felt like a lot of the time, and to elaborate on what we were talking about earlier, I felt like the 60 cases felt a little bit too prolonged. It felt like a lot of the time it was just like, where are we going with this? Get to the point. I agree with that. I agree.
The fact that that 60 case season you put behind season 1, which literally dragged on for 59 cases, it blows my mind.
Until I changed it recently, season 1 was ranked as my favorite season. So I'm gonna walk away now.
Oh my gosh. Season 1. Season 1 is like impossible to play. I've tried to do elite mode on season 1. It's impossible to play. It's so bad from a visual standpoint. They made so many leaps and bounds in season 2, and I cared about no one other than Jones and Ramirez. Chief King died, obviously, huge shock. I don't think I'm spoiling for anyone in this chat, but like he died. But again, like, wow, case 59 was amazing. But outside of that, and yes, Jones was cross-dressed. That was great. And I will say that the Madison Springer might have been the most grotesque case, just in terms of the shock value. Because I think they actually showed her head explode, or at least like they showed more of it than I thought they would. They like, I think they actually, if I remember correctly, they actually showed like blood splatting like from her head. Like it was way more graphic than any of the other seasons. Other seasons they pan away, but I think for Madison they actually showed her head as it exploded, and I was like, ooh. So season 1 has some memorable moments, but for you to say season 5 with a twist and turn at least 3 or 4 times in the season.
I think that's how the majority of us probably found him. Like, we were playing the games ourselves, and we were like, okay, it's taking way too long for me to get all this.
Yeah. 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 Well, and you could tell University they got better. Like I remember, University the color was added. The first 2 districts in season 1, everything was like gray and like dark and gloomy, and then all of a sudden we got to University, and I'm like, oh my gosh, blues, reds, um, I'm like, primary colors. What is this? The sun. Yeah. There's like actually these characters don't look like we're in a film noir or something like that, where it's like, grisly and grotesque. I'm like, this is joyful, like at least the backgrounds. And obviously, in all the seasons since, like Pacific Bay, man, they brought a lot of color into that, and all the scenes became so much more vibrant. But yeah, if anyone's been back to play season 1, I tried. the hit detection is horrible, horrible. Like I would click on something and they'd have like a hula hoop, and you'd actually have to click like the actual hula hoop, and obviously it got better. But like now the hula hoop they give like a much bigger hitbox. But man, that hitbox when they first did it was rough. And I feel so bad for the people that had to start a criminal case because if you're like clicking or on your tablet and you're clicking on it, you're like, "Gosh darn it, I'm hitting it. I swear I know what this item is." So. Yeah, they got a lot better with their dialogue and their going because even in season one, additional investigations meant nothing. That was the other thing. The part four of hmm? But it wasn't like yeah. Yep, yep, and that's it's been it's had quite a transition. Um, Again, I've said it before on streams. I'll say it here. I think their biggest weakness that they had was that web was they launched it like 6 months earlier than mobile. I think if they had launched them both simultaneously, and we were allowed to have me play through on the web and Facebook at the same time that everyone else could download the app and play it, and we could play it in sync, I think that would have really helped their business model. Um, that to me has probably been one of the biggest downfalls of Criminal Case was for because in people getting up to speed where I was at was almost impossible. If you did not start at the very beginning, even if you spent money, there was no way for you to catch up through like 150 cases. That was just going to be impossible. So those standalone apps, I feel like should have been. Yep, but I would. Yeah, but I would imagine that people here, even in the chat, if the mobile app was released at the same time that the season was, you guys would have played along with it with me. Like, you guys would have, potentially, not everybody, but some people would have just played along and been like, hey, this is kind of fun. Let me play with it and stuff like that. I know Bonnie, you would do that, but again, you were caught up. Not everyone was caught up, and to get people to. So Kian is responsible for you, Bonnie, and me, keeping us engaged in the criminal case, and and again talking about accounts locking out. Everyone knows I was pitching Ace 88 in the first season, and then YouTube or Facebook said, "Hey, pitching Ace 88 is not your real name," and I'm like, "Ah, oh, you're right. It's not my real name." Yep. Yep, I was locked out, and they're like, send me an ID. I know. And I was like, they're like, send me an ID of your name, Pitching Ace 88, because it's like an automated form, and I'm like, oh, do I do a fake ID and just put Pitching Ace 88 there so I can keep the name? And I was like, nah, they seem like they're really like serious about this in terms of not having fake names. So I went along with it, but I really wish Facebook would have like nicknames for the games. But yeah, um, it's you know, and obviously every guest that's been on, I was like, oh yeah, just say Pitching Ace 88 in the name of Trevor, and everyone obviously it's very hard when you're reading something to replace someone's name. Everyone can attest to this, is when you're looking and reading something to replace that name in your head is so difficult. I know. Everybody did it. And again, I was like, I think when the first person joined, I was like, oh, come on, guys, get better at this. And then, like, literally, I screwed up so many times. I was like, I can't even get mad at you guys. I'm like, I can't even, I know my own name and I can't, like, and I'm doing this every week and I still can't figure this out. Um,
It took me like a good, like, I think up until like halfway through the conspiracy to like mentally accept the fact that it was secret agent Ace.
yep. Well, because I've tried going on Twitch, I've tried going on YouTube, I tried various platforms because I was like, hey, how do I make money? And then I made a choice at like season 5 or something. I was like, you know what, screw money. I'm not gonna make this is not gonna be my full-time job. I like what I'm doing right now, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go where I'm comfortable, and that was YouTube. And YouTube made really easy for the streaming platform and also recording and uploading videos and stuff like that. So, and obviously chat um, was way more engaged on YouTube, for better or for worse.
I think
'Cause
it was beautiful as well because of that like live moment. Hey, Case just came out.
yeah,
Get on it type of. And it's a double-edged sword there too because us Americans here, having to get up at 2 a.m. and 4 or 5 a.m. to get on every Thursday to play a case. Maybe not the most enjoyable or most appropriate thing, but it was that question of, I mean, are you gonna like are you dedicated to getting up at that time, getting that, and then at a time before we even knew there was like a highlights feature or anything with YouTube live streaming,
yeah,
where you literally had to take the entire VOD, had to find a downloader for it, and then you had to get into tier editing software, and then you had to chop it up, and then like separate all 4 chapters, get it back on YouTube. Like it was a process, dude. So
it
thank God for the YouTube
it
highlight feature.
it was crazy, and I remember because I was competing with He Who Shall Not Be Named, um, and and I always get these videos out like super. He got him out even before me, and I was doing live because obviously he cheated, and again I don't want to talk about that, but um, that's when I started to get up so early in the morning to do it, and I think that's helped to have such a wide range of people because, as I know in chats, for me it was 2 a.m., but for like New Zealand and Australia, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and then in England it was like perfect. It was like 9, 10 a.m. Let's do this, and then I remember talking to because Pretty Simple's out of Paris. And like, yeah, we deploy it like launch launch at like 1 p.m. And I'm like, great. It's 2 a.m. my time. Your main content creator. What?
Oh, no, there you go.
No.
Siblings of Hero. No, he didn't.
No.
What was it? It was where because Flora. Wow, I can't remember her name. She's never been quite a
No. She said you were
She said,
I think she said Poland, right? I thought you were Estonia, but maybe Estonia is a city in Poland. I don't honestly know my geography very well. See, remember, I blame it on me being American. Okay, we don't know anything. We're not cultured here. Okay.
Can I take my work series, or should I wait? Oh yeah, we're still doing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Please don't yell at me. Pacific Bay.
Pacific Bay.
My work series.
That's not as worse as Kian's, so you're better than Kian in my eyes. At least you didn't say season 5. Yep.
We should clarify. I feel like every season has had its highlights and its lowlights.
Yep. Yep.
No season at all. Just to clarify.
See you, Des. Sorry I didn't get you on earlier. Bye. You guys are passionate about this. So Addie with an A this time. What's your least favorite season? Oh.
I will say I didn't put that on the list because I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah.
I know Martine is somewhere there, and Jones returned. She came for one case. Oh.
It's let me just say, it hinges on this last episode. So something happened in the episode that happened last week that if they continue on in terms of what the decision was that they're teasing continues, it's going to be like the worst season by far. I won't spoil it because you guys haven't seen it, but basically, again, like last thing, they were building up to something. They completely flipped it on its head, and if they actually say that, like again, I think it's a joke. I think that it's actually a joke, and they'll rectify it in this last case. But if they don't, this is just a horrible send off because you basically build up 16 cases to something, and then right then you're like, oh yeah, I remember you guys were actually enjoying these people or all this stuff. Never mind. Yeah, it's you want to talk about rushed. If that ends up being the decision that they make, we'll find out next week. But if that's the decision they make, that is the fastest turnaround in any of their plot. That's worse than Matheson at this point. again, I'm not going to mention it because obviously some people here haven't seen it, but yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So um, we'll we'll find out. We'll find out next week. Tune in next week for the finale because we're going to figure that out. But like literally when that happened, I don't even think I talked like the rest of the case. I was just like, no, we're done. I'm so not invested in this right now. If that's what you end up going with, pretty simple. I'm like, if you guys choose that like plot line, I'm like, that's such a cheap plot line that's not pretty simple. Like, it's but it's the last season. You don't. Anyways, yeah. I know, I know. Again, I will hold my judgment. I will hold my judgment, but literally the worst season may be, Addy, you're right, this season if it doesn't turn out well. But it will all hinge on this last case. Yeah, not that I'm trying to tease people, but basically this last case is really going to determine to me whether or not this happens. Again, lots of shows have done that. I tell people watch Dexter, but don't watch the last season. It's a joke. You know, I was watching New Girl. People were like, don't watch season 7. I finished season 6. It ended in a way that I was very happy, and I was like, you know what? Not even going to finish. Not even going to start season 7. Why start a season that you know is going to be horrible? If this ends up being the case, I would just tell people go up to season 7. Don't even do City of Romance if that's the case. It's like end on a high note. Sometimes there's many companies, many series that happen that they end up ending in such a crappy way that you're just like, let's go back. Let's go back and let's end this on a good note. So Maddie with an M, what's yours? Least favorite?
My least favorite district probably has to be Pacific Bay, just because it just wasn't really that good. It wasn't that interesting, except for a couple of areas, being the Hollywood Beach area and Jacktown was a very interesting district for me because of the puppeteer. That was the only district I liked, really.
Yeah.
I really like the robot characters they introduced in Pacific Bay. Like those
Yes. Randall was his name, right? Was Randall the alien? Oh, Tesla. Yeah. Yes, that was a good one. Yep. Yep.
I was hoping they would do a season in space because they have confirmed that aliens were real in
Yep.
the criminal case in the universe, and I was like, why can't we have a district in space? They actually made a joke about that in Pacific Bay. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Criminal case in space or whatever.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they did.
They did actually. They teased like, oh, we could do this in space, and then they never did. Who knows? Maybe season 9 was supposed to be in space. Who knows? We'll never know. We'll never know. Hey, thanks. Just real quick, because we got a donation. So thanks, Jerome. That was very nice. Thank you so much for that. So cool. Appreciate that. I know mine right off the bat, so you guys go first. So, well, mine's Michelle. Michelle hit me the hardest. Chief Chief King obviously was a shock, but I didn't care about him. Michelle, I wanted her to be a part of our team. I felt she did such a good job. I was hoping she would replace Carmen, honestly, and because Carmen I wasn't as invested in. And man, when she died, I was like, this sucks. She was probably one of the most liked characters that I could remember at the time. Now, obviously, there were some people that died in later seasons, but well, well, so and again, Frank was understood, right? Like he was, at least from my perspective, he was an alcoholic. He really struggled with his wife loss and stuff. And so when he made the sacrifice at the end, I was like, dude, I would do the same thing. Like put in your place, like you get to be with your wife and stuff, and you get to save like everybody. Like that's a noble act for him and for his stuff. Michelle, I'm like, you're a good person. Everybody likes you. Like you're contributing and stuff like that. And then boom, they just kill you from a freaking jerk. And I'm like, it's just, yeah, just again, it affected me the most. Um, Again, Frank and Armand they both did their sacrifice, but I understood it. Like it made sense, and I would have done the same thing in their positions. Michelle, it was not her fault at all. It was not her fault. She was not given a choice. It just happened to her because she was in the wrong place and at the wrong time, and she was a target. So that's where it to me differs in terms of affecting me the most. But obviously, this question is to the group. You guys all got affected differently, I'm sure, by the various stuff. So what's that? As well as again, chat for sure is from your guys. What was the death that hit you the hardest? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, she didn't. She didn't. I know. And that's yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that one was probably the almost more so than even Michelle, because she literally did nothing wrong. She was just wrong place, wrong time. Um, so I thought so too. Yep. Yep. I'm glad you brought her up because I was thinking Mia Lucas at the same time. Like right when she came in, I was like, oh crap, she's gonna die. Yeah. Yep, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so for the one that I think can be the hardest, I'll have to set the scene for you guys. So the first ever incident, you have this really awesome team. Everybody on the team is a really awesome character. You go off to other places on other seasons. Then you come back to Grimsboro. You're gonna reunite with your team, only to find one of them was murdered. He was like one of the OG characters in Criminal Case, and he was such a sweet guy, and then he died before we could say, hey, we're back. And I'm like, excuse me? Nobody has a firearm or anything.
Who is your favorite villain? That's a good question. Um, because it's your favorite villain. So obviously Lawson might not be your favorite villain. Um,
So, for most shocking, my initial answer was Michelle, obviously. I think, in consideration, I would say, in another way, probably Yvette, not because her death was shocking, but because of how she died, literally being killed by her older self.
mm,
I think that was again a top three plot twist in the season.
yeah.
I'd say number two is King's death. Number one being the Ben actually being a traitor. In my plot choices. Yeah, but so those two are consideration. I think like hit me the hardest definitely Michelle. Because everybody loved Michelle. And because at first not other people liked her because she was a little bit more like because she was on the team either like why was this random woman was
Yeah.
we just took her captive and we were like alright.
She grew quickly.
Just like kept her.
So Kian, since you're there, since you're talking, what about favorite villain? Who's your favorite villain? And then we can ask the group. That's mine. That's mine actually. I think my best villain is Nabet, Nefertiti, basically. So I think I would probably have to agree with you on that one, even though I didn't rank it as one of my top 3 seasons. From a villain perspective, for sure, really good plot twist. Yeah.
Because it just seemed like, okay, she got managed, just seems like a lost chance on a character, like a really good character.
Yep.
And then, literally last case, bam, she did. Bam, she killed herself. Trust no one, not even yourself. at the end. So that's why I say if you call her a villain, because I know some people just won't. If you don't count the bet, then I don't want to say Lawson because that man gave me so much trouble.
So so those are the two. So we got Lawson and Bet. Who is there? Is there anyone else on that list? In terms of the best villains, is there anyone else other than Nibet and Lawson who could be talked in there? Yeah. What about you, Maddie? Yeah. So Maddie with an M. Yeah. One.
I would say though, I would say all of Mad Astro was a more properly equipped set of villains. Like it felt like we finally had
Yeah.
the bad guys, the bad force, like, and then all of a sudden they don't matter because this random lady that we met like 2 districts ago is actually the villain. No, just kidding. She died to one of her minions who apparently has great hair. Like, I felt like it was such a perfect villain arc. That's why that was another one of the reasons why Conspiracy was my lowest ranked season. Because it had such a perfect villain arc, and it just went off the rails to try to surprise you. But I feel like it actually made it worse in the process. My opinion.
Yeah, which is wrong, but that's okay. It's fine. Again, everybody has their own opinion. It's my channel, so I can tell you you're wrong. We can go over to your channel and you can tell me I'm wrong. So, but Maddie, who is anyone else as a villain on yours that you think? Yeah. Yeah. Well, and chat's bringing up some other people as well that I think are also again good villains. Good villains. There's cases to be made for various people. Obviously, we all have our reasons. Maddie, you have the floor now.
My favorite villain, she actually killed the character that not only shares the same first name as me, but looks like me. I have to go with the Rorschach Reaper.
That was interesting too. Yep.
She hypnotized like
Yep.
people to kill in 3 cases. Nearly got us killed by hypnotizing Jones, and set up this whole elaborate case at the end to see if anybody could catch her.
Yep.
She was really smart, and she
Yep.
did a really good job, but she did get caught in the end, and she didn't seem to care getting caught.
She was a psychopath. Like she was a true psychopath for sure. And so evil villain would be another one, Addie. Oh, gosh, she just, yeah, I don't like her at all.
I don't think there's anybody on planet Earth that likes Angela.
I know.
I liked her when the first half, and then when she turned into a villain, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
There was this scene called Dread when you look at the suspects and I know Ace was very reluctant to take that bucket. Anybody, I mean, Angela, people are moving for people, not Jack, not Elliot, and not whoever the last person was. Carmen.
Yeah.
Can't be really those.
But technically, it was a villain because she helped someone saw up in a way. So she was kind of evil, but not in a traditional sense. She helped someone get away with things. And that's how, like, the whole thing started in a way. Like even though they tried to get rid of them, like, years back, they still came back because of what happened. So technically, she would be fault that it kind of happened in the first place. Like if the FBI didn't help someone, then they wouldn't have come to power in a way.
Yeah. Oh man. So I have to hop off here in like the next 5-10 minutes. So a closing thoughts on this. So again, appreciate you all for being here. We've been on for 2 hours. This has been great. Appreciate you all. Honestly, for next steps for me, no idea. I still have the Discord open. I still will probably be finding some ways to make videos, some ways to get some people together and continue the community. However, I have no idea what that looks like. I am, you know, my time is starting to dwindle more and more as the boys are getting older as well. So. This has been a fantastic 7-8 years that we've been doing this. Everyone here has been contributing. The chat, see lots of mods there, you know, that weren't able to make it on camera or didn't want to put audio or video to it. I really appreciate you 5 here, as well as the other people that have joined to be able to add your one, see you. It's really nice to be able to see you, and then also to be able to hear your voice and get your feedback. Because as opposed to some other, you know, individuals and other games and stuff, for us to be able to have this community, have me, the person that kind of started it, but then like having a Kian who continued it and resurrected me, and then being able to include so many various people in this. Again, I remember Jonathan, you know, way back in the day, like Jonathan, Nat, Chiara. You guys all kind of hopped on, and I forget the other guy's name. Carlos, I think was his name. I think it was Carlos. Yeah, I reached out to him as well. Didn't get the. Who? Oh, and yeah, but she just came in here and told me I was talking too loud, and just yell at me, and I'll deal with that later. But I was like, hey, this is like the last goodbye. But as long as my kids don't wake up, because I'm very excited and talking very loudly. So, but you're right. I mean, we've had so many people, but you know, starting to show guests on the stream, that was something that I don't even feel like 5 years ago was a thing that people did. Obviously now you'll see it all over with live streams and other things where they'll have guests and they'll have other people hop on and appreciate various people. Kian, especially at the beginning, with the backgrounds and putting everything together and helping me kind of walk through that stuff. It's been quite a journey. And even if I end up hanging up my hat or stop, you know, or scale back quite a bit or go into another avenue or something like that, it's nice to see continued ness in terms of like Kian. It's really cool to see you starting your new channel. Addy, you're obviously a mod on his channel and stuff, so it's cool to kind of see that relationship and that community kind of grow. So you know, and and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, because this has been so fun. It's been so fun, and I don't know what I'll do without. I think I'm probably gonna take a little break, but knowing know, knowing me, but knowing me, I'm gonna miss you guys. Yeah. Oh, I'll be back in February probably, but I'll do something just because I miss the community. I always like seeing people in chat, so we'll figure out what we can do on that side of things. And even if it's something where again we'll find some form or fashion to continue this. But again, I appreciate everybody spending their time with me. There's been tons of hours that you guys have spent wrapped up watching, being in the Discord with the various community. Again, that's just, I mean, if we put this all together, we can put just a number from my perspective that every case took 2 hours, right? How many cases were there? So I have at least probably 750 hours worth of criminal case content out there. That's a lot. so let's see. So that's what. I have a full month of criminal case out there. 30 and 2/3 days of criminal case content out there. That is insanity. Um, and most of you have seen large portions of that, if not all of it. And that's just, again, I always appreciate you guys spending the time and commenting, and you know, it's been quite a journey. Appreciate everybody.
And he says your first guest speaker, like the first person you had invited on the case was I want to say thank you for all you've done for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one last question for you. What my favorite case in the whole game?
My favorite case in the whole game. Ooh, that's actually a good one. The so the one that comes to mind that was absolutely mind blowing was Nabet to Nefertiti. Even though that wasn't ranked, even though I didn't talk about that season as much, that was mind blowing for me. So I don't even know what case that was. I just know that one was a shock. Again, Chief King. Again, there's monumental moments in criminal case. Chief King was the first time we found out that they will kill our guys. we did not know that they were going to kill our characters. That was a big case. You know, that was the first chief, and then you have Frank, obviously one of our own teammates. You have, you know, Michelle, so many things. But I think in terms of like one of the cases that was really shocking to me, and which I was like, dang, that was sweet, was the Nabet to Nefertiti thing. That was nuts. Not even the end, just like the middle of the case, just like going. So that would be what my probably best cases, just from like just development and all that other stuff.
I will come in to say, welcome back, Flora.
Welcome back, Flora.
Everybody just, since he says he has to everybody just, what was the name of your favorite case? Go explain generally. For me, it was the killing.
I don't even know. I will go with the Ace's answer, whatever case that was, 17.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. What was your favorite case?
Yeah, look, I don't know any of the games. Like, I have no idea. But I remember that I really liked the Sicilian killer case in the first season, actually.
Rorschach Reaper. Yeah.
Oh, I was looking for a different answer here. Case 30 of Pacific Baby and the night the serial killer one. The other serial killer. AKA Amy's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
The one where we were genuinely hoping it was Amy's mother.
Yeah.
That's right.
I can remember that he rose up from his chair and everyone was like,
All right. Well, guys, I gotta go. Again, appreciate you all.
I don't remember the name, but the one in the prom with the Rorschach Reaper.
Yeah, the blowing up of Madison Springer's head.
That one was really, really good, and I liked the prom setting and how everybody was dressed up and stuff too.
I think it's just that he has to go now.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
We'll sign off really, really quick. I just want to give one final message for myself and on behalf of the community of the GDC and the criminal case community in general. I think we all owe Ace one ginormous thank you for the last many, many years, almost a decade now. I was a huge fan when I first saw you. Well, not when I first saw you, but over time I became such a huge fan, and I have always appreciated and cherished the way that you do things with criminal case and the way that you always tape things. And I was so honored to be a guest the first time. I was even more honored when I got the opportunity to help manage things out with the channel and thumbnails and videos and all that. I never saw it as like a big, I'm going to be a huge YouTuber now type of deal. I was more just happy to help you out, and it was the opportunity of a lifetime. I'll never forget that, and I, again, really have to thank you for all the times you've stuck up for me, and you've helped me immensely, and I think we can all, in a sense, say the same thing there. I know you have to get going, so I'll keep this short, but I feel like everybody can agree that you've been a monumental force in our lives for content, and for criminal case, for a game that we all love, and you made an amazing community that brought us all together. So, one final criminal case, thank you.
Well, thank you all. We've all grown together. Yeah. And again, we've all grown together. Again, if it's been 7 years, you're talking, that's a lot of growth from individuals. So, make mistakes, we learn, we grow, we mature. All that stuff is great in doing it.
There was a point where me and Kian, there was a point where me, Flo, and Kian, we moved past that point.
Of course. Yep.
We knew that we couldn't have that bridge anymore, so we just had to move on and say, look, we're now friends again, because the past drama isn't worth it in the end. And criminal case is one of the games that connects so many people that you don't expect it to. So, in a way, the community that we have is what makes a game so fun. Like, we get different opinions on stuff. So, yeah.
And hopefully people together more than
Yeah, 100%.
I said I had to go, and it would take more time to sign off.
Yep, I knew it. I said 5-10 minutes because I knew I had 15. So appreciate again you all. Again planning these things out. So take care, guys. I gotta go.